I took a cruise on the world's newest cruise ship, the Norwegian Viva, and today I'm going to be giving you a thorough, in-depth review. In this video, I will be going over my entire experience from top to bottom, including things like the prices, things you may want to know about, as well as exploring the good, the bad, and ugly of this brand new cruise ship. The Norwegian Viva cruise ship, launched in August of 2023, is the second installment out of 6 total that will be built, known as the Prima class. Cost $730 million to build, has 20 decks, holds 3,200 passengers, has a 3-story go-kart track, a virtual reality mega arcade, 15 dining options, 19 bars, and a theater that turns into a Vegas-style nightclub. The cost of my cruise initially set me back a whopping $4,900, which will be the most expensive cruise I've ever paid for to date, for a 9-day sailing around the Mediterranean during its inaugural cruise, or first sailing ever for the Norwegian Viva. This would of course come with all the port fees and taxes taken care of, as well as a stay in an interior cabin. However, Norwegian Cruise Line, like many other cruise lines prior to the cruise, offered an opportunity to upgrade. So I paid $750 a person, which would include myself and my girlfriend, totaling to $1,500 for a stay in what's known as a club balcony suite. If you wanted to do some add-ons, which were available at the time of purchase, you could purchase some excursions. The prices do vary. The internet will take you back around $260 to $1,000. The drinks would be anywhere between $800 to $1,500. If you want priority access, $179. Unlimited Starbucks on board, $139. And all of this is per person. On the first day of my cruise, or embarkation day, I will be starting out over in Venice, Italy, which is about 2 hours away from the home port that I'd be sailing out of on the Norwegian Viva over in Trieste, Italy. The train from Venice to Trieste was only $15 a person, so I decided to take advantage and go to Venice prior because I had always wanted to go. It's a very hyped up city that actually lives up to the expectation. If you guys get a chance, go check it out if you happen to be cruising in that area or just visiting. Once I arrived to my home port city of Trieste, from the train station over to the Norwegian Viva, it's only about a 10-minute walk. Once we arrived over to the terminal, it was a very smooth process. One of the smoothest I've seen. I would say the only thing I'd probably compare it to is maybe a premium line such as Virgin and Celebrity. Keep that in mind because I do believe that Norwegian's going in a completely new direction from which they once were. Once on board the Norwegian Viva, the first thing I did was go check out my club balcony suite, which is really just a little bit longer than your standard stateroom balcony that you'd pay significantly a cheaper price for. Overall, I would say the room was definitely beautiful. It was functional. It was amazing. There were a couple things that I noticed as far as the aesthetics overall. How'd you put me on a premium ship like a Celebrity Beyond? Aside from the window wall feature that they use instead of a traditional balcony, it was more or less the same. The bathroom, surprisingly, was extremely spacious as well. I'm not a super big guy. I'm 5'6" and a half, 165 pounds, but it was definitely nice to have. However, if I had to compare getting a standard stateroom balcony versus getting this suite, well, if the difference is about $2,000, honestly, I would just go with the regular balcony because the difference in length of the room doesn't really make that much of a difference, to be honest with all of you. By the way, full transparency, Lauren did reach out to Norwegian Cruise Line's media team, and they hooked us up with all kinds of cool items like free Wi-Fi, for example, so we didn't have to pay that $260 to $1,000 a person for the Wi-Fi. They just kind of put us in the media category because of what we do here on YouTube. But we also got something known as the Indulge Romance Package, which comes with 2 dining options on board, like Le Bistro, the French restaurant, as well as the steakhouse, and they gave us free massages and all kinds of amazing gifts and wine and chocolate strawberries to our room. So Norwegian Cruise Line, thank you so much for that. We appreciated it more than you could understand, and it made our experience that much better. Once I left my suite, I did get a chance to explore the Norwegian Viva. I do have to say the ship is absolutely beautiful. However, I'm going to go over both some goods and some bads in this particular case because, well, this ship is the exact replica of its older sister that came out a year ago, the Norwegian Prima, and well, it is a very interesting ship to say the least. For starters, looking at the Viva's overall aesthetics and talking to a lot of the head honchos working with NCL or Norwegian Cruise Line, it does appear that Norwegian is starting to somewhat transition into the premium category, leaving Royal Caribbean and Carnival when it comes to, let's say, the standard legacy cruise lines, and joining the likes of Princess Cruises, Virgin Voyages, and Celebrity Cruises as well. As you venture around the ship, you'll notice that the overall look is not luxury. It's below that for sure, but it is above the standard class. You go to a place like the Atrium, for example, it looks very futuristic, very modern. However, I will say the con to going to that particular area is that it can be a little confusing. As you walk around, you notice that you can't really go around the entire circle or just circulate the entire atrium area. You go up to one set of stairs and you have to go all the way around to go to another part of the ship and then the other. It can be very confusing if you don't know where you're going. The venues look really really nice. The Viva theater that turns into the nightclub is something that will absolutely blow you away. The only con I will say about the venues is that when it comes to places like Sid Norman's as well as the Improv, that's where they have the comedy shows, it is extremely tight. I believe the Improv only holds about 65 to 70 people. When you consider the amount of people and the capacity that the Norwegian Viva can hold, imagine everybody trying to get in once the comedy show. Well, just get there early. That will be my only advice if there is a good comic on board during your sailing. A brand new installment on the Viva that I absolutely love that will also be integrated within the rest of the premium class is Ocean Boulevard, located on Deck 8. It's a very beautiful area that is outside, circulating the entire ship, and it seems like there's just kind of a separation between each area, and it creates just kind of like this intimate environment. One part of it is connected to an eatery that I love on board, known as the Indulge Food Hall. It has, I believe, it's like 7 different eateries and 2 dessert options, and you can just go there, order your food, and I would say that is definitely the best feature on board the ship as a whole, bar none. By the way, of course, I'm not going to go over every single feature and amenity on the Norwegian Viva in this review because it's a review. I have constructed a full cruise ship tour on this channel that you can check out. I'll leave it right up here, and I'll leave it in the description box below. There are some areas of the Viva that I simply do not like. For starters, most of it is on the upper decks. If you go to the Surfside Cafe, you will notice that that area, for the capacity that the Viva holds, it is quite small. You will notice that it holds maybe like 100, maybe 150 people over there. As you make your way outside, you do have the Lido deck, which is one of the most popular areas on any particular cruise ship. The pool is a lot smaller than you would expect, and the area is just simply uneventful. To me, it looks like Norwegian said, hey, we're going to focus on that 3-story go-kart track, as well as the item that you'd have to pay for, which is the Vibe Beach Club, $300 a person, which it is a nice area. I checked it out. I don't know if I paid $300 for it, but still, it looks like Norwegian focused on the beach club and, of course, the go-kart track, and just said, well, as far as the Lido area, we'll just kind of figure it out after. You'll notice the Lido deck is kind of layered and scrunched up. I do feel bad for the wait staff. They have to go up and down the stairs. There's no elevator to get up to that particular area. You do have the wave water slide. Pretty cool to check out, and it is free as well. And then they have the kids water play area, which is, I gotta say, when you stack it up to the other cruise lines, it's extremely uneventful. I'm not sure what Norwegian was trying to do there. There were kids playing there and having a good time, but I do believe that area as a whole could have been done a lot better. I also got a chance to check out the Haven Suites area. This is something a lot of cruise lines are starting to do now, called a ship within a ship concept. For the low price, starting at around $20,000 for my particular sailing, you can get a room here. Now, I was not able to see any of the suites on board, but I know they come with a waiter, and I did check out the restaurant that they have over in that particular area. You do, of course, have your own customer service area. There are all kinds of pools and hot tubs, and a very beautiful, luxurious area. I did hear a couple gripes, however, about kids running around all over the place. However, do keep in mind that this was the first sailing, the inaugural sailing. There were a lot of people there that were sailing with their kids. I don't think that would be the norm, but you never know. The experience and vibe on board overall was not bad during my 9-day sailing. As many of you know, I am a very social person, as well as doing all of the activities, from the play area to just going on the go-karts. It was definitely an unforgettable experience. Talking to a lot of the passengers on board, they were telling me that they were enjoying themselves. However, if they had a preference, they would prefer the class prior to this premium class, which would be the Breakaway and the Breakaway Plus class. I would definitely agree with that statement as well. However, like I said, nonetheless, the ship is still beautiful, and I did have a great time on board. One thing I will say about Norwegian Cruise Line, this does seem to be kind of a collective gripe among many that have sailed with Norwegian Cruise Line, is that they have a tendency to make you feel like you are being nickeled and dimed. My suggestion to that is that Norwegian Cruise Line has something known as the Free at Sea. It comes with like drinks and Wi-Fi, and well, there are a lot of packages that you can get. I would highly suggest that you indulge in those packages if you don't have the pocket change, and I say that lightly, to get a suite, a Haven suite on board, because otherwise you will have that feeling throughout the entire experience. There are some free things on board, but when you stack everything up to, let's say, like a Carnival or a Royal Caribbean, you do feel like you get more with those lines if you are not going about it the right way with your particular Norwegian Cruise Line sailing. When it came to the food, I will say that Norwegian, in my honest opinion, has some of the best food out there when it comes to the standard cruise line. I did try Katniss Steakhouse. Food was absolutely delicious. We tried Food Republic. We also tried Le Bistro, which is the French restaurant Lauren approved, and keep in mind, she is French. She's very particular about her food, especially when it it comes to French cuisine. She absolutely loved it. I didn't spend a lot of time eating at the buffet. However, when I did, they did have enough options when it came to the pizza and everything, and it was delicious. I will say Indulge Food Hall still does take the cake, and it is absolutely free. I went there several times when I was on board. I would highly recommend it to all of you. Definitely one of the best, if not the best feature on board the Norwegian Viva, at least when it comes to the dining option or cuisine. As far as the activities, I have no shame in admitting that I was a little disappointed when it came to being on the Viva. They didn't have anything that really caught my eye or a lot of people's eyes. Whenever it came to, let's say, any of the dance classes or anything like that, it was very rare that you'd see people there. The comedians were pretty good. We hung out with them a lot. I actually got some dinner with a couple of them. We talked and we had a great time. Unfortunately, the main production show, Beetlejuice, was not available. Do keep in mind this was the inaugural sailing of the first cruise ever for this particular cruise ship. When you decide to go on the first sailing or the first couple sailings for a brand new cruise ship, one thing that is widely known is that you are essentially a guinea pig. You are the test subject for what works and what doesn't. My only gripe about this is that when it comes to production shows, as somebody that has not only worked as entertainment, a dancer for Norwegian Cruise Line and Carnival and Virgin as well, I do believe that there is plenty of time for them to make the preparations for these shows to be ready. There are a lot of people out there that spend a lot of money because just because it's the first sailing does not mean we get a discount. There are a lot of people that come on these ships specifically for the shows, and for them to not have it ready, I do believe is sloppy, rushed work, and there is absolutely no excuse for it. Some things, of course, let's say maybe there are set pieces that are missing. I experienced this last year on Wonder of the Seas during its ice show. Set pieces, they still ran the show. Maybe there's some stuff that isn't working or malfunctioning, understandable, but when it comes to the entertainment, it's something that is done, let's say, on the shore side or at land over in my city, Tampa, Florida. The fact that they didn't have it ready when they knew the ship was going to be launching in August, I just personally don't believe that there is an excuse for something like that to have not been ready. Another issue I had was kids running around during the evening hours, and I'm talking about past 1 a.m. Over at Sid Norman's during the day, they had all types of events going on. They would have rock concerts, which were really cool. A lot of people would crowd in there. There wasn't a lot of room. Like I said, very small venue. But what you would have at 2 and 3 in the morning are teenagers running around in the nightclub. And one thing I will say, this is something I've seen on multiple lines, primarily, of course, MSC and now NCL, is that they don't have security at the doors for the nightclubs. And when these people start getting in, well, it does create problems. There was a fight between a bunch of kids. There were kids trying to get drinks. And, well, I would say that if Norwegian could tighten up on that situation, it would be great. The ports, as expected, were absolutely amazing. A difference between, let's say, if you're sailing in the Caribbean versus sailing over in Europe, is that you're going to have a port of call probably every day. And at the very most, you're going to get one sea day. And when you go to these ports of call, you're probably going to also stay there all day because there is such a short turnaround time between going from one cruise port over to the other. If I had to give any of you any advice on sailing over in the Caribbean, whether you are sailing with Norwegian, Royal Caribbean, Virgin, like I said, since you're going to be there literally all day, let's say if you're like a party animal, if you think you're going to party at night and then do an excursion at 7 a.m. every day during your entire cruise, well, you're absolutely crazy and you're running on hopes and dreams. Is absolutely not going to happen. Even if you don't party, trying to set up an excursion every single day, I would say, guys, just pace yourself, enjoy. Maybe some days you can actually just walk around and enjoy, do some research, find out if there is nothing to do, if there's nothing to do during an excursion. If there's something to do, well, then you should probably just kind of not wing it, but plan yourself accordingly. That way you can explore for yourself and actually see the beautiful areas that you are visiting. Overall, I would say that the Norwegian Viva is a very nice ship, and it is cool to see them kind of start to transition into the premium line. For the price, I would say, and I do wish it was a little bit cheaper. If I wanted to go premium, personally, I would go Virgin because, well, you can get a cruise with them for a pretty affordable price and you can have a great experience. Even though they themselves are a new cruise line, they're still working out the kinks, I do believe they have a better formula in the premium category. I would say that the price for Norwegian versus Celebrity, they are competitive right now and they are overall pretty expensive. But as they say, sometimes you do get what you paid for. As a whole, I would just say with the Norwegian Viva, beautiful ship, doesn't flow very well, and they do have some kinks that they still have to work out with this Prima class. But this is all I got for this review, guys. Of course, I hope that you guys found this enjoyable or valuable or got something out of it. Of course, if you did, hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, I don't know why you haven't. Make sure you do, and know that I love each and every one of you. I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.